Anchanto. Before I invite the CEO of Anchanto, Mr. Waibaf, I'd like to briefly explain about this company. They are a company established in year 2000, headquartered in Singapore, and they are a global e-commerce selling and logistic platform provider. So today they'll be sharing on Indonesia e-commerce landscape. Right, so is Mr. Waibaf here already?
Yes.
Oh, okay, so let us welcome Mr. Waibaf to the stage.
Oh, okay. So, first of all, thanks to Carol, her team, the FTZ team, for giving me this opportunity to give my perspective to all of you. My name is a complicated name. It's an Indian name, Vaibhav. It's not wipe out. In fact, Vaibhav means in Malay it means glory, Jaya. So you can call me Jaya if you want. I'm from Bombay, city of Shah Rukh Khan. A lot of people here. I don't look like one, but. Okay, I'm going to share some insights with you about Indonesia market. In the introduction, I think a lady mentioned that we are formed in 2000. We are not. We are formed in 2011. So I'm not that old. I'm still 40.
Oh my God.
So as Anchanto as a company, we operate regionally. So we have a team in Singapore. We have a team here in Malaysia. Our team is there outside. We have a team also in Indonesia. So in fact, Indonesia is our biggest market. So we live there, we have a local team there, and we work with a lot of SMEs in Indonesia. So that has given us a bit of experience in Indonesia. We also have a team locally based in Manila, Philippines, where also we serve a lot of online sellers, retailers, and brands. So I'm going to divide my presentation into two parts. The first part is I'm going to share information with you about what do we know a little bit about Indonesia as a market. I spend a lot of time there eating soto ayam, which is very nice there, better than KL. Thanks. Anyway, sorry. I got English right. So, and then the second part I'm going to talk about how Anchanto can help you in collaboration with Andek. For you, if you want to go to Indonesia, you want to export your products there, how we can enable you jointly with our partnership here in Indonesia. So that's the format of presentation. So, as you know, Indonesia is almost 250 million people officially. So it's 250 million people there. It's almost the one-fourth the size of India and one-fourth the size of China, in fact. And the e-commerce there is at a very, very nascent stage. So it's at a very early stage. Indonesia is one of the most complicated countries. The country has the most number of islands and archipelago in the world, as you know. So in terms of logistics, reachability, internet access, it's an extremely challenging environment. However, the good news is that the e-commerce there is just growing phenomenally. So if you look at Indonesia, in fact, for the marketplaces point of view, online marketplaces operating in Indonesia, it's a kind of bloodbath, right? It's basically, there is no clear number one there. Everybody claims to be number one, and the market is growing extremely fast. So number of online sellers has already grown by up by 15% altogether. In terms of the information from the Ministry of Technology and Commerce there, the total amount of e-commerce, including not only for the goods, but also for the online sales of tickets and movies, everything together, anything purchased online, that is going to cross $130 billion. So that's a massive amount of number of growth that we can see there. Now, if you're an online seller and you want to go to Indonesia, the biggest category in Indonesia that sells is fashion. Right? So fashion is a broad category, right? In terms of fashion, you have their accessories, you have clothing, you have apparels in the fashion category. Then the second biggest and third biggest categories is toys and hobby and DIY. Indonesian, they like to do things, they like to build the things. So doing DIY products, handicraft, games is one of the biggest categories. In terms of cross-border into Indonesia, based upon our data that we see, we work with quite a lot of Korean sellers. Because of the K-pop wave, the amount of Korean cosmetics coming into Indonesia is just massive. Right? There's a huge fan following in Indonesia about Korean cosmetics. And this cross-border into Indonesia recently got a really exciting turn when the government of Indonesia changed the de minimis. So de minimis is the minimum amount, the maximum amount of the goods that you can import as an individual without any taxes and declaration is now $100 US. Right? So up to $100 US, if you're an Indonesian citizen, you're buying in Indonesia on cross-border, up to $100 US, there is no declaration required. There is no taxes on that. So that has enabled a lot of marketplaces like Blibli to go to Korea, look for Korean sellers, cosmetic sellers, who can ship into Indonesia market, right? So if you want to go into Indonesia and reach out to this huge number of customers there, you got to look at the categories. Does your category fit? If you're into electronics, if you're into heavy products, it doesn't make sense because the volumetric cost of shipping your product there into Indonesia and the price point would not go together. You got to ship something which is less than 200 grams and which is average order value is less than $100 US. That is a perfect match for you. Now coming to the users in Indonesia, in fact, Indonesia is probably the second largest market for Facebook in terms of the user. So Instagram, Facebook together has a huge fan following there, and the third one is actually Twitter. Many of the Indonesians, their first computer for them is actually mobile phone. So there are a huge number of Indonesians, they never own a computer, they never own a laptop or PC at their home, but the first way for them to access internet and do the purchase is through a mobile phone. So it's a mobile first country. And the amount of social media users, so almost the half of Indonesian population has at least once registered or accessed a social media there. That's 130 million people altogether, more than half slightly. There are around 120 active social media users. In terms of population, because it's a huge landmass country, there is complexity in terms of infrastructure. The internet user stands close to 132 million users. And of course, the mobile usage there is close to slightly nearing 180 million mobile subscribers. There is a forecast that very soon, in next 2 years' time, this will cross the total population there. So average Indonesian will own more than one phone number, mobile phone number for them. So in terms of, if you're, let's say, a website, you're not a marketplace, you're a website, let's say built on Shopify or Anchanto, and you want to start accepting orders into Indonesia, you're going to do a marketing into Indonesia, your preferred marketing channel will be social media, right? That's number one. Number two is that all of your, the messages, the description you define for your marketing campaigns, your products, the images you create, that has to be for the mobile-friendly display screen size. Indonesia is also another market where the most of the e-commerce happens in Bahasa Indonesia. The English literacy in Indonesia as compared to Malaysia is vastly different. Now, you can even go to the big company meeting there. You have 5 people across the table, and you don't speak Bahasa, but very soon everybody will start talking to you in Bahasa. They just assume that you speak Bahasa.
Can you speak?
Only a few bad words. just to know the aggression. But you got to make sure your marketing campaigns, in fact for Anchanto ourselves, we wanted to reach out to Indonesian sellers. We were very happy. Back in India, our back office team, we created a marketing campaign, everything in English, 0 response. So when we hired Indonesian team members to create everything in Indonesian, Bahasa Indonesia. And their Bahasa Indonesia is kind of a mix of few English words and few very strong local Bahasa words. So you got to make sure that your marketing contents, your campaigns, if you're selling on marketplaces, if your product listing is into a very complicated English language, nobody will understand it. You got to make sure that it is in Bahasa and it is extremely simple. Indonesia is also a market where culturally people are extremely soft-spoken there. So if they have a problem with you, they will never tell you that they have a problem with you. Right? So there's no way for you to know that something is not working. The best way for that is to basically make everything, your product description, if you're going to introduce a new product into Indonesia market, you have to make sure that it is extremely simple, right? And it has to be put in a language where you put a very little text to the point and describe it in a very friendly way. The best example is if you go on YouTube and you see, if you see Shopee Indonesia campaigns, they create small videos, and those videos are extremely one-point explanation of what Shopee is offering for that particular product. And that's the way to do it. In the rest of the Southeast Asian market, you can complicate the things. You can put more details, you can put more contents, and people will comprehend that. But the culture in Indonesia is just different. In terms of growing digital buyers, again, the chart is extremely self-explanatory. By 2022, close to 46 million Indonesians, almost the size of the population here, will be regularly buying online, right? So these are not the buyers who are buying one time, but these are the buyers who will buy their necessities online through digital channels. Though it be social media, though it be marketplaces, websites, there are a lot of e-commerce happens in Indonesia, is also C2C. If you know the website, e-commerce marketplace, they're called Bukalapak, right? So lapak is basically a small piece of cloth you can put on the street and start selling things. So Bukalapak is a digital version of lapak, right? So anybody can go and set up a very small shop and start selling online. Earlier, last week, I was at E2 e-commerce show there in Jakarta. We're one of the sponsors there. And the head of O2, online to offline, was speaking at that event. We did a panel together. So Bukalapak has launched something new called Metra Bukalapak, which means that every small mom and pop store will be equipped with the Bukalapak technology, and you can directly start buying things B2B and then sell B2C or C2C through Bukalapak platform. So in terms of innovation and reaching out to this huge consumer base there are much more exciting things happening there in Indonesia. This chart, again, I wanted my marketing team not to present this because we don't want to take the sides of marketplaces. We are a very neutral company. But based upon this chart, if you see the distribution of people visiting, so these are the millions of visits on our different channels. So here you have Lazada, you have Blibli, you have Shopee, you have GD Indonesia, and you have Zalora, Qten, and a few other marketplaces. Okay, if you want slides, we have booth outside. Just drop your name cards, and we'll be more than happy to share slides. If you can't read this in detail. So, in summary, the population is getting more and more internet access. People are buying online, even small things. And the population and the visits are just growing exponentially, which means there's a market for people to sell online there. One of our customers is a company called Al-Hadi. Al-Hadi sells batik, right? So batik shirts in Indonesia. And on an average, they do probably close to 8,000 to 10,000 of batik shirts sold online on a daily basis across Indonesia. It's just a simple batik. And in Indonesia, you can buy batik almost everywhere. But Al-Hadi is so famous, and they created a very nice digital strategy to go online and reach out to all the internet consumers there. And that's one of the success cases that we talk about. In terms of the shift that is happening in Indonesia as compared to retail trade, so it's very interesting scenario. You go to the malls in Indonesia around 5:30, 6 o'clock, and you see there are a lot of people sitting in the mall and either drinking coffee or cold drinks or eating a little bit. If you talk to the mall operators, actually, because of the traffic situation in the big cities, and because of the rise of the Gojek platform and Grab platform where you can order food online, the footfall in the mall has dropped significantly, not only because of e-commerce, but it's largely dropped because you can order food online. People used to go to mall generally to visit a restaurant, watch a movie, spend some time, but the cost of parking, the traffic, and the nuisance of that is just too much. So huge number of consumers are actually shifting from buying offline, from a very traditional trade to a modern trade because of convenience and simplicity. Right? So it drops the footfall in the mall, and it pushes people more and more to go online. So if you go see city by city, even Bandung, which has a much less traffic problem as compared to Jakarta, but the whole consumer behavior has shifted to basically modern trade. So dark green is the modern trade, and the faint green is the traditional trade. And again, by categories, you can see that there are certain categories where you have a massive online purchase. With the Gojek platform and with the GoSend platform, I was talking to somebody from the Gojek, and we were sitting at the lobby at the hotel, and he said, I'm going to show you an example of what you can buy in Gojek. So pull out your Gojek application, you're sitting in a hotel lobby, and you buy a cigarette. Right? So somebody actually takes the bike, goes to nearest, they call it Warung, like mom and pop shop there, and somebody picks up that cigarette packets and brings it to the hotel lobby at a very negligible price. So that's the level of the convenience, and that's what is reflected here in categories. Some of the categories which sells massively big online in Indonesia are not sold here in the rest of the Southeast Asia. So the point here is that Indonesia is a very unique market. It's very different. The language is similar to Malaysia, but the behavior of the consumer and the dynamics of the markets are very, very different. So what you did here in Malaysia, if you apply that exactly same in Indonesia, it will not work. You will have to localize your approach, your content, your strategy, your pricing, as well as the channels on which your products are available. So that was my part of the national service to share the information. Now this is my sales job, right? So how do we do exactly this, right? How does this small little Singaporean company helps for sellers to sell online? So my good friend Mr. Ang is here. So you might have observed that on LW side there's a big push from LW. So LW is Anchanto, a partner and a customer here in Indonesia, in Malaysia market. So LW has a different entity through which they enable local and cross-border e-commerce as well as international shipping and going online. So we work very closely with Mr. An and his team. LW booth is outside if you want to inquire at how Anchanto and LW could jointly help you to go digital, cross-border, or local fulfillment into Indonesia market. We'll be more than happy to discuss this together. So LW runs on Anchanto fulfillment technology. I'm going to come back to that very soon, what exactly it is. And LW also offers Anchanto multi-channel selling tool called Save Seller to the Indonesian companies. And we also work very closely with MDEC to enable SMEs here to go on the digital platforms. So with this combined platform together, you can decide to either fulfill locally here and cross-ship it, or you can basically keep some inventory into Indonesia, and then basically when the order comes in, you can deliver the products to your customers in Indonesia. A brief about Anchanto. So I'm going in a more deeper sales role. Founded in 2011, we are in Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, Philippines, India, and Australia. We work with some of the large brands, some of the large retailers, for example, BK such in Malaysia, 3M, Post Laju, Post Malaysia. You might have heard about Easy Fulfillment by Post Malaysia, Post Laju. That 100% runs on Anchanto software. They're both warehouses for cross-border fulfillment as well as for the local fulfillment in Charlotte that runs on Anchanto warehouse management system technology. As of now, we are almost reaching to 7,000 customers who are online sellers, logistics companies, and brands and retailers. Out of 7,000, close to 1,000 is from this part of the world, which uses our software every day to manage their online sale. So our software is more like the core operation system, where you manage your pricing, promotions, your orders, and you fulfill everything from one single platform. We work with 260 large companies, listed companies to run their e-commerce operations. We do close to probably now reaching to 15 billion orders on an average. Some of our shareholders include Transcosmo Japan, as well as the National Research Foundation of Singapore under the Prime Minister's Office. And our newest shareholder, which is also our anchor partner in Indonesia, is Indonesia Telecom. So 2 months back, Indonesia Telecom acquired 20% shareholding into Anchanto, and they became our shareholder. And Indonesia Telecom also runs, so it's very weird, a telecom company running a logistic business for e-commerce. So it's called Delon, DELON.ID, Depot Logistics Online, that completely runs on Anchanto technology as well. That's my younger photo, 7 years back. These are my co-founders. They also work equally. Shafiq, he takes care of technology, RB operations, and Julian on the investor relationship. Very high level about Anchanto. How exactly we do this? So we do this using our 2 software. So our first software is called Seller. I was inspired by this Malay word called selalu, which is always. So somebody is always selling. And sell is also a slang word in Hindi in India, which means somebody is selling a lot. So Seller is a software as a service platform for online sellers, brands and retailers. So using Seller, you have one place from one single location, from one web application, which you can open on your mobile phone, tablet, or computer. From one place, you can synchronize all of your data, all of your operations across Lazada, Zalora, Qten, Shopee, Blizzard. We support, now it's more than 50 plus marketplaces, I think reaching 70 pretty soon. So these tools gives you a lot of productivity and full control. So instead of going on the back end of Lazada every day to download orders, note it down, prepare the pick list, a lot of Excel sheets, update inventory manually, and then go on to Shopee backend, download the orders, change the status. You can do that if your orders are like very little. But the moment your orders and SKU increase quite a lot, you need a platform to manage this automatically. So I was an online seller, so we used to sell online in Singapore 7 years back. And from all the pain that we knew of online selling, we created this platform. We don't sell anymore online, we help other people to sell online more systematically. So using Seller, you can manage your entire catalog, pricing, promotions at one single place. You can process your order, pick, pack, RTS from Seller, dispatch from Seller, and it will be automatically updated onto the marketplaces. So it acts as basically a single control panel, single backend for all of your e-commerce backends. We are integrated to the level that you can actually print your Shopee, Lazada, LW, DHL e-commerce shipping level directly through Seller. So you do not have to go to multiple platforms. Yes, 100 plus marketplaces now. So it's not only for the marketplaces, but example, if you're running an e-commerce store build on Shopify, or Magento, or PrestaShop, or WooCommerce, you can manage all of that. If you're a large seller, for example, DKSH. DKSH also has SAP as a backend system. Some people are having a big ERP system like SAP, Microsoft, Manhattan Associates. So we also provide you an integration, one-stop integration to your entire backend operations, so that all of your data, order booking, purchase, invoices, revenue recognition can happen across the enterprise systems for you. If you're a small seller, mom and pop shop sellers, just starting online, not too many orders, this software you use without backend systems. Right? And if you're a large seller, you use the Seller with the entire backend. So that was a Seller, our first part, right? So what Seller provides for sellers is all the integration to the entire ecosystem of e-commerce. So you have Shopify, Magento, WooCommerce. Then you have all the marketplaces, Lazada, Shopee, Zalora, Qten, Blibli, Matahari in Indonesia. You have your retail store, you have your shipping carriers, last mile delivery companies, and if you have outsourcing your content creation to other parties, you can also outsource that to Seller. Our second software is called EWMS. It's an e-commerce warehouse management system. E-commerce warehouse management systems is used by companies like LWE. So LWE provides a shared fulfillment services. So they provide a warehouse where you can keep your goods with them, and they will receive your orders, and then they will pick, pack, and dispatch that on your behalf as a shared logistics service as a platform. That platform for the large logistics companies, distributors, retailers who have their own warehouse, that runs on the Anchanto EWMS. We are integrated with all the marketplaces, so we don't take sides of the marketplaces. We work with everybody and anybody. So if you need any integrations with any marketplace, we provide that for you. So our approach is more to enable and connect the entire ecosystem. So we have a separate engineering team, and those team members are basically just integrating new channels for you. So for example, some customers in Indonesia, from Malaysia, ask us, I'm running on account. Can you integrate account for me so that I can do my accounting automatically? So we reached out to account here in Malaysia and we integrated that. Some customer asked us, can you integrate for Zero or QuickBook online? So we integrated for that. Right? Some customer asked us to integrate a specific last mile delivery carrier. We integrated for them. So that this super highway of integration and data exchange is provided by us. So you as online sellers, you don't have to figure out, right? To how do I manage the data and how do I manage integration, how do I go online to each marketplace. You can go online to multiple marketplaces through Anchanto. I'll give a very simple case study here for you. So Zilingo is one of the marketplaces, very famous and upcoming marketplace. They raised $83 million from Sequoia recently. They are pretty much #1 in Thailand. So Zilingo, they work with this brand called One Championship, and they're launching this across Southeast Asia. So Zilingo, the fashion and beauty category, they work with us, and with them, under the Zilingo B2B services, the brands of Zilingo are also selling on Lazada, Shopee, Qten. That is all entirely enabled, including on the 11th Street and JD here, JD in Indonesia, through Anchanto platforms. And they managed to go with multiple channels, seven countries, go live in 7 countries within 1 week, same time. In a traditional way, you basically go live on one by one. You try, you build a catalog. So this is also another power of Celluseller, that once you synchronize your marketplace in Celluseller, let's say you're selling on Shopee. You connect Shopee, your Shopee account with Celluseller. We build a master catalog for you. Now you want to start selling this on, let's say, another marketplace. You don't have to build a catalog again. You don't have to map the categories again. On one click, you can list those products onto another marketplaces automatically. So it saves you a lot of time. So you can go live on multiple marketplaces same time. Let's say you want to go to eBay in US. All your existing catalog across all the marketplaces can go live on eBay within a very short span of time.
Merchants and brands.
So I'm going to show you a quick video about this. So Carol, I need your help because I messed up something here.
Merchants and brands know about the power of selling on marketplaces. They have huge reach to millions of buyers. But selling on more than one marketplace can be very painful. Uploading your inventory to separate marketplaces is bothersome, and their layout is very different, so you need to become an expert in using several interfaces. And how do you keep track of your inventory across marketplaces? All of this takes a lot of time that you could spend on selling and doing marketing instead. For most merchants, this means that they will opt for just one marketplace to reduce complexity. But you should not be limited to just one marketplace. The more sales channels you can add, the more sales you will generate. Celluseller has a solution for you. We let you list your products across all major marketplaces in Asia. You can manage pricing and promotions, have one common inventory with real-time synchronization, order management, in-depth analytics, and full payment reconciliation. And all of that through one easy-to-use interface. Big enterprise sellers can get our sophisticated e-commerce order and warehouse management system as an add-on. Don't want to deal with fulfillment at all? Just place your inventory in one of our warehouses across Asia, and we will do the fulfillment for you. And you can focus entirely on sales and marketing. Not present in Asia yet? No problem. You don't even need to have inventory in the countries that you sell in. You have cross-border fulfillment options from your home country to sell across marketplaces in Southeast Asia. So the question is, keep staying limited by the complexities of various marketplaces, or to start selling more today with Celluseller Marketplace Listing Platform. Get started now.
Thank you.
Merchants.
So, as the last job of my sales role, so Carol twisted my arm to make sure that we provide a better deal to the audiences here. So if you sign up on Celluseller, you can use Celluseller for free, below 50 orders. We want to help a lot of SMEs, so this is the brainchild of Carol, that we provide it for free for SMEs. it's free for forever. It's not that free for 1 month. If you're a small, medium company, just doing 50 orders, we are working on increasing the limit of 50 to 100, but we'll come back to that.
50 per month.
Yes, so up to 100, or 50, okay, 50.
How come 50 per year, right?
It's forever free. You can use the entire technology for free. We'll support you, we'll onboard you. If you sign up for team plan and enterprise plan, you get a special discount. Discount coupon is there. And this is for today. So, okay. So thank you very much. Thanks for this opportunity, everyone. Happy to take any questions.